Welcome to Foosball, where everyone's a loser, especially the AFC South.
Or the NFC South, too.
And the NFC South, too.
Yeah, we're in the NFC South.
All of the South is dirty.
South.
Yeah.
Look,
I'm
guys,
just for the occasion. We're in the South,
but we're
guys.
still on the grind. I'm grinding my Himalayan sea salt, so I'm ready for my next boat party. Okay.
And he's sniffing it, too, apparently.
Yeah. If anybody needs some, baby, I got it, but just don't take too much. All right. Shout out to Stefan, but we're gonna be reviewing the NFC South, which is maybe this. I don't know if it's the saddest division in the league. They could use some Himalayan sea salt to like get a little bit more happy there. But
yeah, I don't know if it's the saddest division. I don't know. I've got hope for the division this year. I got
Derek
hope
does. Mr. Neckbeard over here.
Yeah.
You love the Panthers. You love some things about the division. But what's your big thought about the NFC South this year? Are they going to have a resurgence? Is it going to be? Are they all going to have losing records? What's going to happen?
I definitely think one team's going to lose a lot of games, and the other three are going to be, kind of around the same record. But I got a bit of surprise because, like we always say, guys, every year there's going to be a couple new playoff teams, and every year the predictions don't. We see guys on TV that predict basically the same teams. Well, I'm not doing that. So things are going to get shaken up in the NFC South.
Speaking of shaking things up, I see you're on the beach. Are you hanging out there? Are you avoiding OTAs with A-Rod?
Yeah. So me and Aaron Rodgers booked a hotel together because we don't want to go to training camp. So yeah, I'm here reporting on Aaron Rodgers not making any decisions.
We don't attend OTAs in foosball.
No, we don't. No, those are for chumps, not for fools.
That's for chumps. Chief Greengrass, you are not on the beach, but you are in the bear den. And what are you thinking about the NFC South? Are you thinking that you have high hopes for them? Like, what's your takeaway for their division?
I don't even know that you can call them a mid division. They got bits and pieces, so I think there's three teams with a legit shot. And honestly, the Bucks, they did something in the playoffs a while back. They got plucky quarterbacks. Who knows about Falcons? We'll get into it in a little bit, but yeah, they made some interesting moves.
They're just like, it's just not the most interesting division, but let's bring it up. Here we go, guys.
Here we go.
Boom.
Here it is. All right, let's see these guys. Let's see what these guys are doing.
Is that the old Falcons there? They look a little bit like
they're angry. They're ready to win. Dude, all right, let me start on the Falcons because I really loved the Michael Penix pick last year. I know everybody hated it, but look at how crappy Kirk Cousins is now. Could have called that.
I think you're pounding the table for Penix right now.
I'm pounding the table. I'm going to stop doing it. I'm putting down pillows. I'm putting down my Nick Cage pillows. Nick Cage. Anyway. Dude, I think the Falcons are going to be halfway decent. I love Bijan. Kyle Pitts should be good. Their offensive line is good. They did lose their center, to the Bears, but I still think they have a good offensive line. I think London's a decent wide receiver. Moody's a decent wide receiver. They got talent everywhere.
10 and 11 wins for you guys. That's a good amount of wins. In the NFL, that's like a pretty good team.
Dave was saying earlier, they've been around a top 5 offense a couple times in the last few years, but their defense has been terrible. So they hire, Raheem Mostert as a defensive coach, right? They get 2 DNs in the first round this year. They're going to have a better pass rush. That's just a guarantee. Even if these 2 guys aren't great, they were so bad last year. The only way they can go is up. And I think with this offense, I think 11 games for me sounds about right. I think they might even win more. I'm a Michael Penix fan. I actually think he's a very good quarterback. I think he's going to be good. I don't know if his ceiling is like a top 10 guy, maybe right around there, hovering around a top 10 guy. I don't think he's ever going to go beyond that. But he's consistent. He throws a beautiful deep ball. He played college for 65 years, so he can read defenses. He knows what he's doing, And he proved it against good teams too. He had some bad games here and there, but as you saw, as the season went on last year, that offense started to get a little bit better. So yeah, I got faith. I got faith in the Falcons this year. I'm rooting for you, Atlanta. I hope you get back to the playoffs.
I have Kirk Cousins on my fantasy team, so I hope he just walks on to the training camp in a preseason and just starts throwing darts, and everyone's like, Kirk Cousins so good.
Dude, there's a chance he could be on the Steelers. There's talk out there. The Steelers might trade for him.
You never know, but you think Penix is ingrained now as a starter? Like that's
100%. There's no chance unless Penix gets hurt that he's not the starter. I don't care if Cousins, it got Superman powers in the offseason. Like Penix is the starter. They're moving forward with him. And they
And
got.
I think you might be right, because when you see what happened with Jaden Daniels, I guarantee that Atlanta's staff was like, man, we need that to happen for us.
Yeah. And I think Penix, like I said, I think he's got a lot of talent and he's a very consistent thrower, like very consistent on accuracy and things like that. So
not accurate.
Yeah, he is. No,
he's got a great deep ball. He's great at pushing the ball, but he'll never be top in the league as far as completion percentage. He doesn't quite have that gear.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there.
The 3 games that he got to play, they scored a lot of points, but his completion percentage wasn't really that high. He is fantastic as a big play threat, which is exactly what you want for a strong run game, because he pushes those safety backs. He opens everything up underneath, which, that can definitely work.
Also, Dave, though, I think because that's the style of offense they played at Washington was big throw, big throw, big throw. Yep. And he's got to calm himself down a lot like Jordan Love, right? Who he did big throw, big throw, big throw at Utah State. You can see he's still got that itch in him where he just wants to throw a bomb every other play. And I think Penix will cool off, and I think he'll find his medium. And I do think he's a decently accurate quarterback. I just think that, he goes for too many big plays because that's kind of the offense he's used to running. But, I mean, I agree with you, though. It's a good balance to the Bijan running game that they have.
You both have them beating Tampa Bay in the opening season game.
Yeah, I think the Falcons are better than Tampa Bay. And it's, I mean, we'll get to Tampa Bay, but okay, so let's go through this because we've got a bit of a difference in opinion here. Dave's got them losing a bunch of games in the start of the year and then getting hot at the end, getting real hot at the end. I've got him kind of hot in the middle, losing a few at the ends. Hype's got him kind of hot in the middle, but he doesn't have him winning anything in the first few weeks, which is, I think, the big difference.
Or the last few weeks.
Me and Hype. Yeah, Hype's got him winning all in the middle of the season. So maybe
playing crappy teams then.
Yeah. Hey, if Hotlanta does anything, it's get hot. So we all got them winning against Buffalo. Did you guys see that? We have them all winning against Buffalo. We talked about that.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
We got them all beating Miami. I somehow have them losing to Indiana. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I just did that thing. We got them beating New Orleans. We got them beating Seattle. We got them beating at Tampa Bay. So me and Chief got them beating Tampa Bay twice, Hype once. So we definitely think the Falcons got some talent here. I mean, if anything, guys, the Falcons are fun to watch. They are definitely fun to watch. Bijan is an absolute monster. I want to see him get the ball more. And I think Penix is going to have, I don't know if Penix is going to have as much of a sophomore slump because he is kind of ingrained into what he is. And he has played so many games of football and there is already so much tape on him that I don't know that there's really a big drop off for him. But I could see it happening a little bit and the run game carrying them through it. But I think 11 wins is where the Falcons finish this year. I think they're the division winners.
I don't even have to say opinions because all my teams have the same record. They're all mid equally.
You guys, you will see that.
That'll be fun to see later.
Hype basically copped out, and he's like, they're all the same. They're all the same record.
Have you ever turned on the TV and pushed the button? Hey, let's turn on some NFL football. Watch the NFC South. I mean, once in a while, Baker's exciting, but it's just like meh.
Yeah, I get it.
No, I really like Atlanta simply because
Aaron.
of the.
Appreciate it.
They just
sorry. I had to hide.
Oh yeah, Rogers had to hand you a cold one.
Yeah, he had me a Modelo, guys. No commercials here, but that's our preferred drink down here at the club. So.
No, I like what Atlanta did because of the Kirk Cousins contract. They really couldn't go out and sign too many free agents. They couldn't afford to re-sign their center. So what they did was they said, okay, we have this budget here for quarterback. There's no reason to trade away Kirk Cousins. By giving away their first round pick next year to get that second defensive end, the small defensive end, he was a stud at Tennessee because they rotated him in and out. So they drafted another defensive end before him to do the pass rush so he can do the exact same thing in the NFL as he did in college, which is a great fit here. By not having that next first round pick next year, you're kind of pushing your chips into this year. And if you're going to do that with a young quarterback who has an injury history, in college, why not hold on to your $35 million insurance policy with Kirk Cousins?
Because Dave, think about all the guys on their teams that are first round pick. They got Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Jake Matthews, Michael Penix. They need to win some goddamn games and make the playoffs.
What happens though if they lose their quarterback.
Then
If you go,
Cousins comes
if you
in
go,
and throws 3 picks a game. I mean,
no, but I'm just saying, like, at least Cousins can give you a floor where it's going to win 40% of the games. If
yeah,
Penix
no,
can,
keep him.
and
I
yeah,
say keep him.
because Penix, if he does get hurt halfway through, you'll have nothing on your team. The only way that you could trade him away is maybe if you give him to the Browns and get Flacco back as an older insurance policy.
Dude, honestly, unless somebody gives up like a third or higher for Cousins, which I don't see.
No one's going to do
There's
that.
no point because the Falcons aren't going to save any money by doing
No.
it this year. Next year is a different story. But like, why would you get rid of a backup quarterback that can play if you're going to pay him the same, whether he's on your team or not? Like, you know what I mean? They can trade him in the offseason next year, cut him or whatever. Like, I say keep him, but if somebody's dumb enough to give you a second-round pick because they're desperate, because their quarterback got hurt maybe in the preseason, then yeah, go ahead, right? Like, but other than that, keep him. I say
because Miami's a perfect case study of why you need a backup quarterback. They had all the weapons out there, they lost their quarterback.
Yep.
So if you're Atlanta, if you have an old owner, he wants to win. He's a fantastic guy. He's a real positive guy, but he's in his 80s something, right? Yeah. So why not just hold on to Cousins, give yourself the insurance policy? If anything happens, hopefully Penix comes back and helps you in the playoffs. So yeah, I don't see Kirk O'Chains going anywhere. Just let him sit on the pine, collect some checks.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, Penix does have an injury history, but like I feel like, I feel like he's going to be better suited in the NFL to stay healthy because he has a really good offensive line, right? And again, they did lose their center, but as far as pass protection goes, that's the least important position on the offensive line. Let's be honest. So like, I'm not too worried about his pass protection. I think it's going to be decent. But all right, that's enough about the Falcons. Who do we got next? Let's move on to the Carolina Panthers. And what the hell? I made them have a winning record. What the hell? So I got to tell you guys, I really liked what I saw from the Panthers at the end of the year last year. I love that they got Ted McMillan. They picked up a bunch of pieces on defense, guys. I think Dave Canales has the potential to be a good coach. I think Bryce Young. I really wanted the Bears to take Bryce Young because I didn't think he deserved to be a number 1 pick. But that doesn't mean I don't think he's a good quarterback. I do think he's a good quarterback. And I just think the situation he was in Carolina was awful. So let's talk about 2 quarterbacks that played in Carolina before Bryce Young. Sam Darnold, who looked like an MVP last year, was awful in Carolina. Baker Mayfield, who's made the playoffs and looked really good with the Buccaneers, was awful in Carolina. It looked like both of their careers were over. And then they went to franchises that weren't total garbage. And surprise, surprise, they're actually decent quarterbacks. Bryce Young played like garbage. He looked awful. And then Canales came in and they somehow fixed it and got rid of that curse. And now Bryce Young looks like the player that he is. Do I think he's a world beater? No. Do I think that the Bears did the right thing to trade out and hopefully get Caleb? Yes, I actually do think that. But I still think that Bryce Young is a decent quarterback, and I think that he's going to give them enough on offense. They got a good run game. They got Tet now. Again, they picked up pieces where they're going to win some games. And, guys, they might just make the playoffs. There's new teams that make the playoffs every year. So I'm Team Panthers. I think they're going to turn it around, and they're going to be pretty tough to beat this year around. Hype, you got them with 8 wins. You obviously think they're going to be better. What made you think Carolina is going to be decent?
Mostly because you like them so much.
I have been pushing them hard, haven't I?
Every time
I'm like, look out for Carolina.
By the way, the Carolina Panthers guys are going to be good.
Hey, man.
Yeah, Bryce Young did play way better at the end of this season. But the second part of my response is because I watched them. Didn't they either beat or almost beat the Packers when they're totally terrible? Like they're like the reason I have them 8-8, and so do I have the Falcons, which is the same thing happened to the Packers because obviously I watch all the Packer games. Where the Falcons beat the Packers. Like these are teams that are just waiting to get over the hump. They're like trying. They're like knocking on the door to get over the hump.
Yeah,
and maybe getting Tet. Maybe Bryce Young popping off. It could happen. I mean, look what happened with the Redskins last year when they had a quarterback playing well. Like, they just started tearing everybody up. So if your quarterback gets hot and he starts seeing the field and things start slowing down for you, Penix, the Panthers here, like you could become scary and do well. The only problem is that there's the teams that are at the top of the division are pretty damn good. So it's like it's hard for me to see like teams like this winning like 11, 12 games when I have like the Lions winning like 12 games. So it's like
I get that. And you got them at 8 though. I got them at 10. And like look at our picks, guys. Like there's only a few games we all agree on, right? Like Miami, the Rams, Seattle. And they got kind of a tough schedule. They got San Francisco on there, right? They've got Green Bay, they've got Buffalo, they've got Dallas, they got the Jets, who could be halfway decent, New England, who could be better. So their schedule is not easy. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like they have enough games in there against teams that they can beat, like New Orleans, like New Jersey. Sorry, the Jets guys, the Dolphins. I think Seattle's going to be okay, but I think Carolina is the type of team that can beat them. So yeah, I like Carolina this year. I'm really high on Carolina. I could be wrong, but going back to Carolina, just like one of the great folk singers.
I just don't think any of the teams other than the Buccaneers can really win a bunch of games outside the division. Like if somebody in the division starts, like the Carolina start just beating New Orleans, beating Atlanta, beating Tampa Bay, they could win 10, 11, 12 games. You know what I mean? In division if they start dominating.
Well,
but I don't know if they could.
What's a young quarterback's best friend? A run game, and a strong defense.
Oh, what did they?
I love to say it.
I have Hubbard as my fantasy running back.
Dan Morgan came in. Oh yeah, Dan Morgan came in, Hall of Fame linebacker. Brought him in as a GM. He was always with the organization. He came in. They already had a fantastic defensive coordinator in there, Ejiro Evero. And, I wanted the Bears to sign him as a head coach. Last year, they lost their nose tackle, who was like the second highest rated, one of the second highest D tackles in the league. The year before, they lost him week 1. That doesn't help the defense. They go out, they draft who we believe are 2 strong edge guys to help out that part of the unit. The day they extended Horn, they made him the highest paid cornerback. It lasted all of a week. But they got pieces there to make the defense better. Tampa Bay's defense, they can hit that. They can go after Tampa Bay's defense. They can beat the Cowboys. Like you said, your running back, Fresh. Chuba Hubbard is pretty solid.
Chuba.
Yeah, they got their two guards last year. They solidified the run game. It helped out the quarterback in the second half. I think they can still grow on it. Their head coach that they got, Dave Canales, he was the one who was actually instrumental in Seattle of making that quarterback. Geno. Yeah, he turned around Geno.
Yep.
The Bears thought it was the other guy who we fired halfway through the season last year.
No, it was Canales.
It wasn't Walden. It was very much Canales.
Yeah.
And then Canales put in his system in Tampa Bay. He was successful there. Morgan recognized that, brings him in. Now, don't get me wrong. Duval helped to expand on Tampa Bay's offense last year, but still Canales is the one who put the infrastructure there. He's moved it into here. I think there's a lot of potential here. Getting Tet was a fantastic pick. A genius I once knew called for them to draft a wide receiver in the first round. Didn't get the right one, but still.
Yeah, they did.
I only gave them 7, but I could easily see them winning 10 games here. I wouldn't be surprised. This is a real interesting team to watch. I think it could be a fun.
Well, the thing is that every team can't win every game. You know what I mean? Like someone has to lose, right?
Well, I'm all for Dallas losing. Don't get me wrong.
Me too.
Yeah, I'd be happy to see that.
And teams that were good last year aren't guaranteed to be good this year. Teams that were bad last year aren't guaranteed to be bad this year. Every year there's like a Commanders, right? Maybe not as good as the Commanders were, but every year there's a team that won 5 games that wins 10 the next year, right? And I feel like the Panthers are on the cusp of being really good. I'm glad you brought up Evero, Dave, because I really like him too. I wanted the Packers to sign him as the D coordinator before we signed Joe Barry. So yeah, I was right about that. But he's a good defensive coordinator, and I think they were really bad last year, but they had nothing. They had nothing to work with. Their 2 best defensive players were out most of the season. They were already bare bones as it is. I think they're going to rebuild this team. I think the defense is going to be better. Maybe not great, but I think it'll be better. And I think the offense is going to take a big step. And they got Rico Dowdle, who I actually really like as a number 2 running back. So yeah, I'm high on the Panthers this year. I'm going to hold on to that until like week 15, and we'll see if I was right or wrong.
I just want them to run the ball every play. You know, I heard this quote that like, hey, everybody in the NFL is paid to be there. Everyone's good, right? Like every team has professional football players on their team, right?
Yeah.
So it all comes down to like what teams are like really good though. You know what I mean? So like I just, you know, we'll see when we go through this that I think all these teams are not really good.
Yeah, let's go to the next not really good team. Who do we got? The worst team. Oh my God, we
the
hate
NFL.
2 wins. All of us chose 2 wins. That is not a coincidence. We all think they absolutely stink. I have no faith in the Saints at all. None whatsoever. I don't like Rattler. I don't like Shuck. Kamara's getting old. Their offensive line isn't bad. Don't get me wrong. But Olave's coming back from an injury. You know, they still have like really old and just kind of older defensive players who are decent, but man, I don't know. And I don't believe in Kellen Moore. I'm just going to say it. I don't believe in Kellen Moore. I thought he did a good job in Dallas, but as soon as he left, it's not like the offense fell off at all. It was exactly the same, if not better. So I'm not a huge Kellen Moore fan. I think he's a good offensive coordinator. I don't know if he's going to be a good coach, but I think the Saints are packing it in this year and hoping to get the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, why not? There's supposed to be a good quarterback clash next year.
Yep.
And man, like, you know, part of it too is that they're a little bit cursed. Their head coach that they got rid of is now in Denver doing well. And I feel like this is just like the NFL is cursing the Saints right now.
Well, it's partly the Saints' fault because for the last 2.5, 3 years, the Saints have pretended like they're going to win the division, and they just keep adding on all these contracts
They just do
to
whatever.
older, aging players, and they haven't drafted great. Let's be honest. I mean, one of the guys they did draft really well, Lattimore, they traded, so it's like, I don't know, man. I don't see anything here, but if the Saints are resetting, then I'm good with that. Like if they're just going to do a hard reset and like, you know, get a quarterback next year, which is kind of what I thought they were doing, which is why I don't understand why they went for Shuck in the 2nd round. Like I don't get that pick at all. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. Prove me wrong. But like, I mean, you already had Rattler there who, you know, not great, but like sustainable. So save that. They really needed help on the defensive line and in the secondary, and instead they took a quarterback, and that really bothered me. And I don't think Kellen Moore is going to make Tyler Shuck into the next Dak Prescott. I just don't see it.
I mean, this is the thing. The Saints were really good when they had a really good quarterback and they had Sean Payton. When Drew Brees was gone, I feel like everyone was kind of worried, like, what are they going to do? Because their team was always just kind of like, okay, you know.
Well,
I mean,
they were good, dude. Let's be honest though, that those Sean Payton, Drew Brees years, there was a lot of years where they had losing records. Like they'd win 13 games and then 7, and then 12, and then 12, and then 8. So like there were years where they were up and down, even in the Sean Payton era.
Yeah,
because you know they've had the same guy that's like their GM since like 2001. Do you know what I mean? He's like the emperor of the Saints, and like he's been making all these decisions the last couple of years to kind of keep them relevant or keep them in the playoffs. And they should have never signed Derek Carr. Do you know what I mean? Like they should have just taken their lumps and tried to get
desperate.
their QB.
They should have just reset.
Yeah,
draft picks.
They should not have extended Alvin Kamara.
No, and dude, look at their cap situation. It's like the worst in the NFL. And it's not for a good roster. Like if you're in a really bad cap situation, like you should be a playoff team. They're not even close to that. Do you know what I mean? So no, the Saints stink, but I think they need a year like this to reset, get that number 1 pick, bring in a high-level quarterback, and and move on from there. That's all I got to say about the Saints. I think they stink.
They just need to rebuild.
Yep. On to the Tampa Bay Orange Creamsicles, which we all wish they would go back to those colors.
Oh.
I mean, not necessarily, but like
at least for a couple games.
Yeah. I mean, at least they went back to the like kind of dark gray. Like when they went to that like weird light gray and like modern look, it was so disgusting. Because like, dude, you know, their dark helmets with like the pirate flag and stuff are cool. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, those are cool. But the second iteration of that was awful. So at least they kind of changed it a little bit. But yeah, go back to creamsicle, guys. Come on. We all want to see it. All right. So the Bucks, we're all over the place here. Well, not really. Dave thinks they're good. Me and Hype think they're average. So, but
wow, we both picked 8 wins for them.
yeah, and we picked a lot of the same games. But yeah, that's where I think the Bucks are at. I think they're not good enough to win the division. I think their defense is terrible. I don't like it. I don't like that they took a wide receiver. I mean, I understand, but I don't. I think their offense is going to be good, and I think their defense is going to let them down. And I don't think Todd Bowles is a good coach. I don't. So
they
I
needed
think,
to upgrade their defensive line and their
yeah.
linebackers.
I mean, Todd Bowles is supposed to be fixing the D, and it's gotten worse since he got there. And they barely won the division last year, and they had 9 wins. So it's like, yeah, I think they're going to win one less game this year. That's it. They're going to be about the same team. You know, that's kind of where I see the Buccaneers. But Greengrass, you're kind of high on them a bit with 12 wins. Why do you think they're going to win 12 games?
I like their plucky quarterback.
Yeah, plucky.
You know, he's fun to watch. He's, you know, like Favre was back in the day, where you punch him, he gets right back up. He'll slap you on the back. He's like, all right, let's go. He can rally the offense around him. They got a solid enough offensive line. They got aging wide receivers. Godwin was good, had a career season last year till he got hurt. He was like a wide receiver one in the NFL.
Mike Evans graded out as like the number 3 receiver in the league last year. He was really
Mike
good.
Evans was great.
Oh yeah, as old as he
was the
old
number
as he,
1 receiver versus man coverage at 6'5". How do you do that?
Yeah. Dude, Evans is an absolute monster. Everybody knows it. He's so good. But I mean, he's getting older, dude. He's getting older.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even at the end of last year, he was slowing down a little bit. Like, I think he's going to have another good year this year. I definitely do. But I don't know how much longer that's going to last. And honestly, like I said, I think their offense is going to be fine. That's not my problem with the Buccaneers. It's their defense. I don't trust it at all.
Well, they did draft cornerback back-to-back, second and third round.
They did.
They did go after Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. They did go after Jacob Parrish out of Kansas State in the third round. So they did work on it. And then they did try in the 4th and 5th, they went after edges.
Yeah.
And Winfield, their all-world safety, had a terrible year last year. I don't know. Things just kind of fell apart on defense for them last year, I guess.
Yeah, their coverage they were having a rough time in coverage because of their cornerbacks, and their linebackers couldn't cover anybody. They still need linebackers. And I like Morrison out of Notre Dame, but he's coming off a major injury too. So we don't know what he's going to be, right? And Parrish, I think, I mean, my draft grade on him wasn't that high, but like in the 3rd round, that's not bad. So, but I don't know. They had a chance to take, you know, maybe a top cornerback, and they went wide receiver instead. And I think that was a mistake, but I could be wrong. Do you know what I mean? I could be wrong. And their offense is going to be good. No question there.
And Morrison could be good.
Yeah. And they, you know, but again, they won
9. He'd be more of a second half. You know, it'll take a while because that was hip surgery, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to take time. He won't be dynamic in the first half, but you do have a GM who's been around since 2014. So he's been there for a decade.
Yeah.
So with him, he's not in win now mode. I think he's pretty much earned, you know, a little bit of job security.
Sure.
Todd Bowles, not like you said, we're not a fan of him being a coach, but them taking that wide receiver in the first round, that was them saying, okay, we're keeping a 3-year window. We believe Baker's going to be our guy for the next 3 years with the quarterback, you know.
Right.
So they're just getting a little bit younger, have someone else. Their tight end did good enough when they lost their top 2 wide receivers. You know,
and McMillan stepped up as well.
Yeah. McMillan stepped out. He did pretty decent for a rookie. So they can spread the ball around. There's pieces. They made Kirk Cousins got 2 400-yard games against the Bucs last year.
Yep. Not Kirk Cousins. Was it Kirk Cousins?
Yeah. For Atlanta, he had 2 career games.
Yeah.
Where, you know, he's got 800 yards in those 2 games and like 600 in the rest of the games or whatever.
And honestly, Bucky Irving came out of nowhere and was unbelievable last year. And to their credit, though, the Bucs do have a really good offensive line. Tristan Wirfs is unbelievable. So like they have a good offensive line, which I think obviously is going to help them score points. But their problem last year was they couldn't stop anybody. And I don't see that changing at all. And I think just a tip of the ball here or a change there, 1 win difference. You know, I don't think the Bucs have gotten worse necessarily.
Their schedule is hard. They're playing Philly, Seattle, San Francisco, Detroit, Buffalo, Rams. Like those are like they're middle of the pack there in their schedules. Tons of good teams.
And I think Atlanta and Carolina are better this year than they were last year, no doubt. Like, no doubt those 2 teams are better. New Orleans is worse, but they beat New Orleans anyway. So it's like, yeah, I think the Bucks are about the same. I think they're about even keel for me. And, one game here or there, really, they could win 8 games, 9 games, but I don't think they take the division. And the Bucks have won the division, I want to say 7 years in a row now. Let's actually look that up. How many years have the Bucks won the division?
And I think they could easily win 10 games. They could be a 10-win team if their defense plays well. If they have a little bit of turnaround in defense. Hell, with their offense and Baker Mayfield, they could have the most wins in the league if things go their way. But I just don't see the defense being super good right now.
Saints won it in 2020.
Yeah, so it's only the
from
last
17 to 20.
I'm sorry.
It was the Saints. Yeah,
it's 4 years in a row, but it seems like forever. Like the Bucks have won the division, the last couple of years, and I just think that's coming to an end this year. That's all. I just think the other 2 teams in the division, the Falcons and the Panthers, got better, and I think the Bucks stayed about the same. That's just kind of how I'm
just giving them the advantage because of the quarterback.
No, I get that. Baker's
quarterback, and he knows his weapons.
I like Baker, man. I think Baker was highly underrated in Cleveland. I think they were stupid to let him go. There was just too much hype around him. I think maybe taking him first overall, and then he went to Carolina, was terrible. I talked about that, but so was Sam Darnold, right? And so was, Bryce Young when he started. They were just in that like curse zone. But I think Baker's a good quarterback. I would take Baker over a lot of quarterbacks that would surprise you, like Dak, for example. I would take Baker over Dak for sure, right? Like if I were starting my franchise or in a playoff game for sure.
Yeah.
So
playoffs, yeah.
But I like Baker a lot, and so I definitely think the offense is going to be just as good as last year. But they did lose their OC, like you said, Dave, the last 2 years. So I think that's bound to hurt you at some point. And
Baker's never had the same OC in consecutive seasons.
Ever, right? In his
9-year career.
Isn't that insane? Poor Baker. I mean, that makes him kind of a badass, though, too, because he's been good,
yes.
So, but yeah, I think that catches up with him. So, all right, let's see. What do we got for final standings, guys? Who's going to win the division? Hype's got the Bucks winning the division, even though he says they're not that good. Steve's got the Bucks winning the division. I got Atlanta. Let's go, Falcons. And yeah, I'm hyping up the Panthers. I almost picked the Panthers to win the division, but I just think Atlanta is a little bit better. So I got Atlanta up there. But we're all kind of the same, around the same records as far as like second and third place go. We're very similar. And then, yeah, we all think the Saints are trash. We all think the Saints are absolute trash. So,
well, I think other than the Saints, everyone's exactly equal, 8 and 9. I guess you could say that I'm a coward for not just picking somebody, but the problem is that all these teams, like they have young quarterbacks playing, right? Like other than Baker Mayfield, and they have, and the Bucks have a terrible defense. So it's like hard for me to pick those guys that have a lot of wins, like the Atlanta or Carolina, when they have these young quarterbacks that are unproven. And even though Bryce Young had like some nice games at the end of last season, that doesn't mean that's going to continue. Like, you know what I mean? Like if he had been doing that all season, right, I would have been like, oh yeah, this guy's ready to fucking break out. But I need to see a little bit more evidence first.
No, I get that. He's got more weapons though. And I think, he had his sophomore slump last year. He had his rookie and sophomore slump like 2 years in a row. Like he was just bad for like 18 games.
Yeah.
And he's only been good for about 7, right? So I get it. Like being kind of like, whoa, is this guy going to be anything? But I think that has to do with Dave Canales. I think he is going to make Bryce Young a lot better. I think that Evero is going to make that defense better. And like I said, I think the Bucks are about the same. I don't think they're bad, but they only won 9 games last year. They're going to win 1 less. I think Penix and the Falcons are going to take that step. They were so bad on the pass rush last year. They were so bad on defense last year. They've got, I think, a top 5 offense potentially. So I think that's going to win them a couple more games. And their schedule isn't quite as hard as Carolina's or Tampa Bay's when you look at some of the teams they're playing. So I think Atlanta sneaks out the division this year in the South, in the dirty South.
Where, we spent over 34 minutes talking about this division of complete, like, amazing teams that we just adore so much.
Yeah. No, the NFC South is a little boring this year. It's been boring for a while because it's been bad for a while.
But we like to talk about teams that might not get all the shine and the you know what I mean? Yeah. Like they deserve having some conversation.
Hey man, they got their own episode like everybody else.
That's NFC right. You know what I mean? Like everybody in the NFL is a professional football player. They're all good. But some people are better.
Yep. And so,
But
yeah,
don't
it's
worry,
kind of a
we'll talk about the AFC South next, and that's not going to be much more.
yeah. The AFC South to me is a lot more boring and a lot more sad than the NFC South. Sorry,
Everyone
AFC
unsubscribe
South.
right now until after next week, and then resubscribe. Okay.
Yeah. Any Jaguars fans might like it. Other teams, I don't know. Maybe
We'll find
see.
out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
It's bound to be a little bit better in these guys, at least, right?
I don't
Call
know.
themselves the
I don't
Jacksonville
know.
Travis Hunters.
Dude, the AFC South is the most like brutal games to watch. Like Indy versus Jacksonville is just like brutal to watch. Do you know what I mean? Like, but somehow they're good games. So we'll see how the AFC South does this year. On the next episode, I won't be on the beach, unfortunately, for that one. So
Yeah,
well.
it's no vacation than the AFC South. So
No.
I don't know, guys. I guess we're just gonna have to end the episode now and say until next time, keep your grind on.